Okay, let's see. Really? Okay. Ooh, it's gonna be ugly. That's what I do. I do it ugly. God loves ugly. Okay. Oh wait. Here we go. Right. Don't foul him. Don't punch him in the face. Do that after the game. There we go. Oh, snaps. Ah, okay, come on, Leonard. You got this, boy. You gotta punch. There we go, finally. Okay. Risky move. Hey, everybody watching. Yeah. I don't know if this is a World Cup stream or not, but honestly, I haven't really been paying that much attention to the World Cup. I know Ireland is going to be playing against someone. I just don't remember who. Okay. Oh, yes. Good. Shoot it. Shoot it. Take the shot, boy. Alright, let's keep it up. You know, I didn't really like football until I guess a couple years ago. I don't know. Something about it. There we go. Slow it down. That and I have a character that who's interested in the sport, and I kind of researched it after a while. Okay, alright, we're almost done. Nice. Just gotta keep the ball away from everyone. The game glitch? Uh-oh. Okay. Let's see, Restart. Reset, there we go. Oh, that's embarrassing. Let's get some defense in here. Shoot. Okay, got one guy. Yes. Ah. Oh, snap. No. Yes. Nice. Okay, just keep away. Just keep passing. I feel like I'm getting greedy. Whatever. Ah. All right, let me just do a quick save state. Okay. Oh, snap. See if we can get past this. Didn't think so. Take it. Yes, there we go. Good drive shot in. Okay. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Alright. Just like Blitzball from Final Fantasy X, but good. Okay. Okay. Oh snap, no. Okay, never mind. Just gotta hold the lead. Gotta keep moving the ball.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we haven't talked in so long. This is great.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just gotta turn
Uh,
down the sound.
I've made a lot of life changes since we've last talked, which is a good time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. Also, my sister is on the phone in the background. I have no idea if you can hear that.
A little bit.
Let me mess with my mic. Is it louder now, or is it less quiet? Or you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a lot more quiet, but I can still
Okay,
hear you
cool,
just
cool.
fine.
Yeah, because the goal is to like make it to where she's less loud.
Mm-hmm. So how have you been doing?
I've been doing really, really well. I started dating Weeb Trash Productions, which was a cool thing. I went to a mental hospital, which was pretty funny. And I've been making videos. I've been working on this big movie project, and it's gonna be like really weird. It's inspired by Hideaki Anno's Love and Pop, and it like basically takes this like experimental film angle to things, and it's gonna be really weird. I've just been sort of living life and enjoying things, and I've been really happy.
Oh, well, that's good.
How have you been?
Uh, actually pretty good. I nothing new has really been happening in life. It's just been just same old, but I don't know. I feel more optimistic than I've been.
That's
Like,
good.
yeah. Uh, let's see. I think Mark, he's kind of not really taking a break from the internet, but he's like just focusing more on his life and I guess getting some sort of degree in like the medical field.
Yeah, I know he wanted to do medical coding for a while.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I wish him all the best because, you know, his life seems like kind of chaotic with like being unemployed and stuff. So I really hope he can get himself off of his feet and do well out there. And I mean, I know he can if he just works hard enough.
Yeah. But right now I'm just playing Captain Tsubasa. The yeah.
Yeah, the classic show. I've always wanted to watch that, but I've just never gotten around to it.
I heard it was pretty good. I'm not really big into sports anime, but I don't know. I guess I've had like this, I guess, taste change. Like I've kind of moved away from, I guess, traditional action anime and stuff like that, and more into like slice of life and I guess like sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like sports shows when they like kind of have like not like deep characters to them, but just characters who are interesting, like characters I can root for. Like Ashita no Joe, for example. Like that show like takes like a terrible person and it just makes his whole life story, and like because it's so long, because you know sports shows tend to be really long, like it's able to just tell somebody's entire life story. And I think it's really interesting for that because like there's like a whole arc in that show where Joe is just in jail, and like he's doing boxing and stuff, so it's still a boxing show, but like he's just in jail, and it just shows the antics and things like that of, you know, of his whole life. And I think shows like that take like it being about a sport, but also make it about who these people are as characters, and like develop them through the sport as characters are definitely like the best versions of those shows. But when it's just about the sport itself, it can get kind of boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to actually watch Tsubasa one of these days because I've only heard about it through well, I've heard about it before online, but one of the main I'm trying to think about one of the people that I found out about it from was Franco-Matic. This guy I did a video on a while back. He did like a he's doing like a playthrough of it of one of the games, and it sounds pretty interesting from what he's talked about. And there's some really cheesy moments, like even though it's supposed to be realistic, there's a lot of like just anime tropey parts of it. Like all the characters have all these weird special abilities, but it's not like too crazy. It's I can't remember this one ability. It's called like Skylab that one of the guys can do, and they like I think one of them like leans back and he like propels one of the other guys forward, so that he launches him into the ball. It's really weird, and it's a move you can learn in the game. I think later, much later than where I am. But yeah, I kind of like silly stuff like that in anime.
Yeah, yeah. The silly shows tend to be like the best ones, even though like a lot of my favorites are like dramas, like Rakugo Shinju or Welcome to the NHK. There's something great about just like seeing shows just not take themselves too seriously and just being fun and like embracing the fact that it's a cartoon and just just having fun with that idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of tempted to do like a World Cup stream, but I haven't really been paying that much attention to it. On all honesty, I can't speak today.
Now you good.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm getting into the sports ball.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch the World Cup. It's just that at my dad's place I don't have television, so I've just been sort of finding out what's been going on as it goes on. Apparently Mexico beat Germany, which is like crazy, and I know Sweden beat South Korea like 1-0, so it was probably a pretty slow match. Yeah, I've been keeping up with some of the scores and stuff, but I haven't been actually watching the games. Whenever like big sports events happen like that, I tend to watch them unless it's like the Super Bowl or something, but
Yeah.
I've always watched the World Cup for some reason. For some reason, the World Cup has just always been something I've paid attention to.
Yeah, me too. I usually just kind of learn about it through osmosis. Like, Ace Salieri does like videos about it, like highlight videos and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I get all my information on it. I'll have to do a video on him one day, but I don't know, because a lot of his stuff kind of digs like, or a lot of the information is like really personal, and I don't really want to dig too deep. It just kind of feels a little, I don't know what's the word, I guess, sensationalist, I guess. Like I'm trying to stir something up, even though I like the guy, and I kind of don't want to come off as that.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, that's totally fair. Like, when there's people who have like some drama about them, like wanting to talk about them anywhere, can definitely like cause, like talking about certain things about them could cause like a stir among the community and things like that. So like I definitely get that, like where talking about certain things could sound like you're trying to be sensational or trying to be a drama queen or something. Like, whoa dude, drama alert just said slavery is a choice, like stuff like that. It just comes off as kind of pointless.
It's just good to have I don't know, I guess just a little bit of respect. Like I don't mean to be like Mr. High and Mighty, but sometimes you just kind of got to learn when to, have boundaries.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, like, people, they have their private business, and everybody makes mistakes. Like, the thing about the internet is that it makes everybody's mistakes public, and it makes everything we do public. And so because it's on a world stage, people are much less empathetic towards people because they're public figures. They don't see them as people, they see them as these like weird content creator automatons that are just meant to spew out content and spew out all the correct words all the time. And so people will just rail against every little thing they say, even though they're still people. Like, if you had an argument with, like, your brother or your friend or something, or if you were just in a conversation with them, they might mess up. They might say something that they didn't really mean or they didn't really think about. It's just human. People just do that. And, like, people on the internet, if you're a celebrity or even just a YouTuber, like, people will constantly go after that and rail against that, even though it's just a simple mistake. And oftentimes, the issue is way more complicated than people give it credit for, but they come after them anyway. And, like, I can only imagine what that's like to just sit there and be that person who everybody's coming after, and just having made like a small mistake in conversation that if you were to talk to anybody else it would have been normal, but because you're a public figure, everyone's gonna go after you for it. So I try not to like get into drama and stuff, just because like sometimes you gotta sit there and realize these people are human beings, you know, who feel things and who make mistakes.
Exactly. We forget that a lot, and we just need to have compassion. As simple as that sounds, but it's so hard to do for a lot of people, especially when people are trying to have like political discussions or like ideological discussions. They just kind of dehumanize people. And even though I have like issues with certain types of people, like you said, how you're dating weeb trash, even though I don't personally believe that homosexuality is a good thing, I am not going to just, treat you like you're less of a person. You're still you.
Yeah. I mean, like, people, they can have their religious beliefs, or they can have their beliefs on like certain ways of life, but ultimately that is just their opinion. And if someone treats me with respect for the person who I am and for the choices that I make, then I will not see them as any less of a person than I would normally. And like, even people who disrespect me, like, they disrespect me not because they're like overtly bad people. It's because they have like they have their reasons, their upbringing and like who they are as people, their destiny, if you will, just sort of led them to that place. And even though they made a wrong choice, I can't blame them for that. I just have to live and let them live their own life, even if I'm not going to be a part of it because they made that mistake or they made that disrespect towards me. I'm not going to hold that grudge because that would be wrong, you know. But like, people, they can have their opinions on sort of on on my choices and things like that, but as long as they handle it with respect, that's perfectly fine. And I'll always respect the differences, the differences that people come to. And I think like people, they just aren't as calm about that as they should be. They're not like, they're not as reasonable. Yeah, they're not as reasonable about it as they should be when looking at different opinions. Just because they think, oh, I believe this certain thing about the world, and so it must be true, or it must be okay to see everything this way. And even though, like, yeah, I might think what I believe about the world is true, other people don't feel that way, and we can never get along if we're just gonna sit here and be arrogant and say, I'm never gonna let other people be their own way, because certain people, they just, they're just gonna believe what they believe, and if we constantly sit here and yell at each other about it, we can never get along.
Yeah, that's kind of like this one stream from this one YouTuber. His name's like Jonathan something or other. I can't remember his name, but he does like these really interesting talks about the furry fandom. Even though I'm not really a part of that group anymore, I still sometimes like just hop in to just listen or just shit post stuff like that. And he was talking about how some people use the fandom for entertainment or for like legitimate reasons, like discussing politics or I don't know, their gender identity or stuff like that. And I said, I kind of made such a stupid joke I made, or I didn't. It wasn't really a joke. I just said that how a lot of people in, I guess, the modern day fandom They kind of just treat anyone who isn't just exactly like them, be they left leaning or right leaning, as just like subhuman. And you know how they claim in one breath to be just like really compassionate, but then their action says otherwise. And yeah, they didn't really take too kindly to that because I don't know, it wasn't cool how I framed it. I was just coming off as just this a-hole. uh, I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of that cut out, but I did get the basic gist of what you're saying. Like, I think ultimately, yeah, like, people's actions do matter the most in terms of what they're saying, because if what you're saying is just rhetoric, then it's just rhetoric. Like, you have to act on what you believe, or else, you know, you're just saying stuff. Like, you're just saying stuff to get affirmation and to seem like the right person. But if you're not actually being the change that you want to see in the world, then that change isn't going to happen.
Exactly, and that's just one of the main problems I have with just political talk and just talk in general online. It's I don't think it's impossible to do. I think we can have like legitimate conversations online about stuff. It's just we kind of have to, you know, leave that ego behind, that sense of I'm right behind.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like engaging in like a lot of like political or religious discussions with people, just because I feel like it even though like I try to be like as reasonable about it as possible, and like I try to be as civil about it as possible, at the end of the day, no matter how civil everybody is being, there are certain things that are just going to upset people or like hurt people's feelings, and like I don't want to do that. Like I love my friends. I love most people who I come into contact with. Like, I'd much rather give people love than give them hatred, and so I don't want to be someone who people remember for affecting their lives negatively. I always want to be someone that people can remember as someone who made their lives better, at least in some way. Because, like, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, and I'm trying to fix that. Like, I'm trying to be someone who every time I come into their life, I can bring something better. And like, I'm not saying that just to sound like a stereotypically like, ooh, you know, they're a good person or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to do that because that sounds, you know, like I'm being weird and egocentric and trying to make myself look good. But like,
Yeah.
it is legitimately like the actions I've been trying to take. Like, that's the plan I've had for life. But like, I don't ever want to like be a person that people can look at and like say like, yeah, they've negatively affected me somehow. And I think like in a lot of like political and personal like religious discussions, like, I hate to use the word like it triggers people, but like it's so to the heart and personal for people that like disagreeing on it can just cause a lot of upset for people. And like, I feel like a lot of those discussions just aren't worth having because I don't want to upset anybody, you know?
Oh, definitely. It's just I don't know. We have this like cognitive dissonance. We want to talk about it, but at the same time, we don't. That makes any sense?
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like, um, I feel like with political discussions in general, like, it doesn't get anywhere. Like, when you have a conversation with somebody about stuff like this, like, ultimately, we don't really have that much effect on politics or on social issues. The only thing we can have an effect on are the people around us. Like, we can spread, you know, like, joy to other people, and we can spread, more well-being throughout the world. And so, like, I think it's important just to make the people around us happy and just to enrich the lives of the people around us in every way that we can. Or, like, you know, donate to charities and stuff like that. Like, do stuff that actually has an effect on the world. But I feel like with activism and with like politics and stuff, it's just a bunch of people yelling at each other about who's right, and no one ever comes to a compromise, and no one ever tries to make the world a better place. So I think making making the world a better place starts with yourself, and it starts with the people around you. If you can start making those things better, then I think you're doing a lot more than just looking at politics all the time, you know? And I mean, that's kind of a cold take on things. That's sort of, you know, me being a bit like, you know, kind of dissing a whole group of people, but I don't mean to do that. Like, I know that the people who do look at politics and stuff, they have good intentions. They do want to make the world a better place, but in my opinion, it's just better to take that energy and put it towards the people around you.
Yeah, I think people they focus too much on the big picture rather than, you know, what's in front of them. And
Yeah.
it kind of becomes like this weird contest to see who can do more.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's one of those things where people, they want to seem like the better person in everybody else's eyes, while
Mhm.
also not doing the right thing. Like they only care about being a good person insofar as other people see it, but they don't care about being a good person internally. Like if no one saw them doing the wrong thing, then they wouldn't care about not doing the right thing. You know, like they would do the wrong thing if no one was there to see it. But if other people saw them and they were gonna judge them, they would only do the right thing then. Like a lot of it is just for ego. Like it's for affirmation. They don't actually care about like being good people for themselves.
Yeah, it's
Or you know, if you're religious for like, you know,
there's a term in the
the
Christian
Lord.
community, or a lot of Christian communities. It's called being a Pharisee. And if you do know, I'm not sure if you know what Pharisees are or were. They're basically like the kind of the Jewish holy men back in, I guess, in biblical times, and they were kind of like, I guess, running the show at that time. And when Jesus came, and you know, he was announcing that he was Son of God, they didn't really take too kind to that. So they were trying to basically just establish power over people rather than actually, you know, bringing people closer to God. Like they basically just they were the, I don't want to say this is going to be really cringy, but they're, I guess, kind of like the social justice warriors of their time, because they basically bragged about how holy they were, like in their prayers. They're basically virtue signaling. And I can't remember what it was. I think it was in Luke. He was basically like one of the Pharisees was like insulting someone in one of his prayers instead of humbling himself, which is what you're supposed to do when praying. And I don't know, that just makes me chuckle when I think about that. How history kind of repeats itself in a way.
Yeah. I think there definitely are like a lot of things like in the Bible or in like holy scriptures, like a lot of like ideas and just like morals and like things that happen in the world that are definitely applicable to today and still happen to today, even though the point of a lot of those books is to give like a template and for life and to give lessons to people, but they never learn them.
No, they don't. I don't know. I think people get caught too much in the doctrines and the dogma rather than, you know, the actual relationship with Christ. And I know it's hard because it's a lot of metaphysical stuff that you can't really just explain, I guess. And that was one of the big issues I kind of had back when I was like really young. And I think that's what kind of caused me to fall away for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just sort of, you know, just sort of like agnostic about things. Like, I don't really believe in like one particular one because, you know, that's just my choice and all that. But I
Hmm.
do believe that there is some sort of higher power. It's just I don't personally feel that I would be able to see it or like or feel it. But I also don't like deny other people's ability to see the ones that do exist in the world or to see the ones that their scripture talks about. Like, I mean, if people feel that way, who am I to say that they're wrong? It's just that I do not personally see those things, and they sort of, certain things in those scriptures go against my way of life and sort of the way that I go about the world personally, you know?
Yeah.
But I do think there are a lot of good ideas and just sort of like good morals that a lot of religious texts do have. And as long as it helps somebody's life, like as long as it sincerely helps other people, I will never disown religion. Because if it's making you happy and if it's making the other people around you happy, then you have every right to be in that. Because who am I to sit here and say that people aren't allowed to have happiness and that other people aren't allowed to have happiness? I think that is something that people that everyone deserves. Um, and yeah, it's so even though like we personally disagree on that, I'm glad that it does make your life better, and I just hope the best for you, in all aspects of life.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. It's hard to find people who kind of understand, I guess, that aspect of culture nowadays, especially how secularized. I've been staying up so late, I can barely think. How secularized culture is nowadays. They just kind of dismiss everything that isn't, I guess, completely tangible.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like with sports, where people say, oh, I have my team and then you have yours, but they don't actually sit there and think about the reasons why someone else might have their individual team. And when you start thinking about that and you start thinking about, people, they have their own reasons and they're complicated, and, maybe they're not wrong, but that just doesn't work for me. Like, if people have the humility to admit that, then they're not going to be fighting for their own team anymore. They're just going to, not care about the whole idea of teams at all. And like, people, they aren't willing to come to a compromise. They aren't willing to admit that, maybe I'm not right about everything in the world. Maybe there are some things I don't know. And because people aren't willing to do that, they just sit there and yell all day on Twitter about how, oh, you don't agree with capitalism being bad, so you're a terrible human being. No, that person who said capitalism was good just went out and like fed a baby or something. Like, they were doing good stuff in the world, and you're just completely dismissing that because they don't agree with your specific idea of the world. And I mean, like, I'm not particularly religious myself, but like, from what I know, like, a lot of people who are moral are forgiven. They're forgiven for not believing in a specific faith if they are moral, and if they accept, if they accept those proper things in the end. But I mean, I don't know enough about that stuff, but like, that's just sort of what I've always heard, is that a lot of people are forgiven anyway.
Yeah, that's the one big thing about Christianity that a lot of people, even a lot of people who call themselves devout Christians, kind of forget that it's really just about compassion. That's the whole reason why Christ died for us. It's for, forgiveness for everything that we've done. And we need to show that as Christians, to learn to forgive people, even if they wrong you in some way, shape, or form. It's something I'm working on as well, because that's kind of been one of my problems. I've been very, not really petty, but I've kind of had trouble letting things go. And I kind of need to just do that. I need to just not, hold that grudge against people.
Yeah, because, what does a grudge add to life? What does it add to anybody's life? All it does is just sit there and fester and rage, and it just sits there and it gives so much negative energy, but it doesn't grow into anything. It doesn't fix anything. All it does is just make us feel worse. And when we actually get revenge, it doesn't do anything. Like, we spent all this time trying to get revenge, and then it just didn't even do anything. All it did was just make the lives of somebody else worse. Alright, great, good job. You just messed up somebody's life. So, like, I don't know, I just don't see the point in revenge at all. I don't see the point in holding a grudge, because all you do is just sit there and stay angry. And no one wants to stay angry. No one wants to be upset, so why would you hold a grudge against somebody else if it just makes you upset, and makes other people upset that you've just taken out your anger on them, So, I don't know, I've just never seen the point in holding grudges, because I feel like it just makes us stick so much in negative energy when we don't need to. Like, there's no point to doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess people just want to feel justified. It's like this I guess it wasn't really an argument, but I was like talking with this person, and I think she's like she's kind of like a pro-black, kind of like just anti-white activist type person, and I just
Oh boy.
yeah, and she's one of those people who has that like attitude that like because she claims to be a Christian and she says that well, white people are of the devil and blah 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 blah, and she has no real like evidence. Like I asked her, well, where in scripture does it say we should condemn people based on the color of their skin or anything like that? And she didn't have anything. It was just anger. I don't know what kind of God she's praying to, but it's not Jesus.
Yeah. It's people, they use, they use things like their faith or just like their ideologies or whatever it is that they do pray to. They use that to justify doing the wrong thing, and they twist the words of those things to make it to where it does justify doing the wrong thing, even though it never actually says anything about that. And they just want to feel justified, and they'll go to anything to feel justified because they don't want to admit that they're wrong, because they don't have the humility to. And so it causes a lot of problems for people, and I just wish people just had more love in their heart to realize that we are different, and we need to accept that sometimes we do have difference, and just try to work with each other on those differences, even though they are there.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I didn't mean to get this deep, but it's
Yeah, it's our first conversation back, and we're already getting into deep stuff.
yeah.
Oh boy. But I mean, I like it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I like doing these streams with you and the other guys.
Yeah, I have not talked to anybody from the D-pad in a while. Like, Austin Trench just messaged me on the 15th or something. Not too long ago he messaged me, and I only saw it because on Outlook it shows you Skype messages for some reason, like in a little corner. I wouldn't have seen it otherwise, just because I've had Skype uninstalled. But I haven't talked to anybody from the D-pad in so long. Like, for a while, back when, like, the only people I would talk to were on the D-pad, like, I would just have that podcast, and that would be, like, the only social interaction I would get, because I would just be a NEET. And it was only for the podcast. But it's so weird to think about that was the way things were back then. Now I don't even, like, consistently talk to anybody from there anymore, now that the podcast has ended, and I just talk to all of these other people that I've met through YouTube all the time, and I kind of miss, like, the routine and the comfort of there always being a D-pad episode out. But I guess I need to sort of organize just talking to the people from there, because there were cool people on that show. There were people who I liked a lot, like you and Kamazar and Trench and Mark, but I guess just without having that show, I just never really thought about it, and it's weird to think about that, like, without that show, I didn't think about messaging anybody, and I feel kind of bad for that. Like, I feel like a bad friend for only thinking about it that way, but...
Oh no, that's fine. I've kind of been getting a little nostalgic about it too, in a weird way. I don't know how I'd be able to bring it back. I was thinking of actually having a Corey on. I don't know how you feel about that, but I kind of wanted to do just like a one-on-one thing, like maybe I would just talk with him, like an interview sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be down to show up for that, and sort of pick Corey's brain on things, what he thinks about cartoons and about YouTube and stuff. Are you in contact with him? Do you talk to him?
Actually, I haven't talked with him since I made that video, but I don't know, I'll have to like message him or something on, I was gonna say YouTube, but I don't think they still have the messaging anymore, so maybe I guess either DeviantArt or Twitter or whatever. And
Yeah.
we should really talk about doing something like that, because he tried to do a podcast, and honestly, the first episode wasn't good, but I saw a lot of potential in it, and hopefully we could talk about like maybe him doing or continuing that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully you can get something sorted out with him because I'd love to be on a show with you and Corey and just sort of talk about cartoons and stuff like that because I've missed having that. I haven't had something like that in so long that it is really nostalgic, like you said. Because I've been on barely any shows lately. Like the last video I made was like 4 months ago. I haven't written anything. I haven't been recording anything. Just because this is honestly kind of sad. Most of the videos that I would make, I made when I was depressed, and I haven't been depressed, so I haven't been making YouTube videos. But yeah, so I need to figure out like how to make YouTube videos while being happy, because the thing I would do is that I would always make YouTube videos like only when I was sad, and that's not like a healthy mindset to be in. That's not like you should not use that as your vice, as the I'm gonna have my quick snort of
Yeah.
YouTube content right here.
When you treat anything
But
like that, it just destroys you if you
yeah,
just treat it as like a crutch to like
yeah,
fix whatever
exactly.
problem.
Yeah, and I was using it as that for a while, but what I really needed to do was work on myself. I needed to work on who I was. I needed to work on my mindset. I also needed antidepressants, which I take now, which help a lot. But I needed to work on myself in general, and so yeah, like it just wasn't really working out for me. And lately I've just been trying to figure out how to be creative while also being happy, because I've done YouTube for so long of like only doing it in order to have it be my purpose in life, and I have other purposes in life. That's not the only thing that I do anymore, and so I'm just sort of going through the motions and trying to figure out how to do it on a consistent basis without it being my only thing. And so hopefully I can figure that out. I think I will. It's just getting used to feeling this way, because for so many years, like every single day of my life, like I literally just wanted to die. That was, and it's weird now not feeling that way. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like that's how bad I was. That like it literally does not make sense to me being in a state where I don't want to like be dead. So I've undergone a lot of self-improvement. My life has gotten inordinately better than it used to be, which is great. I've been doing a lot better, but I don't know, it's just weird to think about how I'm gonna do everything in life like I used to, but different now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I've changed so much as a person that I'm just sort of figuring out how I'm gonna do everything from here on out, because I'm so different now, but everything else is the same.
Yeah, things have sort of changed. I have, I guess, more confidence in myself. I'm probably gonna get a new job soon. Not like soon, but like I'm kind of preparing. Not sure if I'm gonna go back to school or not, or something else. But I have more, I guess, conviction in what I do now.
Yeah, I think faith can help people a lot in that, because when you just see this like big thing in your life that you can look up to and aspire to, and has this spiritual purpose for you, then it can give you, it can make you believe in yourself, because you believe in the Jesus that believes in you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I get it.
What I'm saying is that
Gurren
the
Lagann is the
Lord
best
is,
biblical
yeah.
anime. I don't know. Screw
Yeah.
VeggieTales, screw Prince of Egypt. It's all about Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, it's Kamina is the Lord. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's actually, honestly, some Christ allegory a little bit in Gurren Lagann. After his death, I guess Simon he dies, I guess, a bit, and he becomes, I guess, Kamina in a way, or he takes on that spirit, I guess.
It would be really cool if you did like a Christian analysis video of Gurren Lagann. I know you'd get a lot of shit for it in the comments just
Oh
because,
yeah, a
yeah,
lot of
anime fans, they're
they're the
very disrespectful about these types of things. You know, a lot of them are nihilists. You know, like
hmm
they're just gripping their copy of Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche, like with both hands, and they're sitting there with like their teeth grinding while they're holding it, and like the pages are being torn out because they hold it so tight. And if you say anything that contradicts that book by Nietzsche, they just yell at you. You know, these are the types of people that are in the anime fandom. And so it's going to be kind of hard to say anything even remotely religious without them just taking their, you know, 2-gauge shotgun and pointing it at you for saying anything that contradicts Nietzsche. But, you know, I think it would be an interesting video because I respect you.
I was actually thinking of doing videos like kind of with a Christian perspective on like certain pieces of media. Like I was thinking of doing something about Birdman, that movie.
Ooh,
Um
that would be really cool.
and yeah, it's I don't know, I guess I could plan something or write something out. It won't be anything like I won't be posting anything anytime soon, but you know, maybe that could be a thing because I've been thinking about it for actually like months now.
Hmm. Yeah. I hope that goes well because I am hyped for like any like written or brand new DZ content because I do really like your videos, and just having a Christian perspective on media I think is really valuable because most of the people in the reviewing and analysis sphere are like weird nihilists who live in their mom's basement and just constantly yell about how Trump is the devil and stuff like that. So,
Uh-huh.
um,
Like especially like YMS, his whole like, oh, God is dead, I'm so cool and edgy, George Carlin forever kind of attitude. It's just tiring, or it's like it's been done to death. It's not even like offensive to me. It's just like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
that would have been cool in like the 80s, I guess, to have that kind of
yeah,
attitude. But now it's like
yeah, yeah.
commonplace.
Yeah, like Bill Hicks, guys. Come on, you guys remember Bill Hicks, dude?
I know.
Yeah,
It's
I remember that from the '90s, but we're in 2019 or 2018 now.
yeah. It's basically just like with what happened in with the whole angry reviewer community, how everyone wanted to be just like James Rolfe. It's just like everyone wants to be Bill Hicks or the next George Carlin. It's
Yeah,
literally the same thing.
yeah. Even though none of them have the talent to do that, the reason
No.
they could do that is because they were older and they had the time to build up this talent and this wisdom. They had years of time to do that, and the things that they take are just the most surface level elements of, oh, I'm going to be anti-society, I'm going to be anti-religion, I'm going to be anti-government, but they don't look at the nuances of it. They don't look at what made those people special as personalities or as comics. They don't look at the technical elements of their stand-up. They just look at the surface level elements of being edgy, and they don't look at what made it special. Like, religious people and people who have those beliefs that disagree with George Carlin can watch George Carlin and enjoy him, and they can
hmm
enjoy him because he was a professional who did a good job. But a lot of these people, they just look at those ideas and they just jerk each other off. They're just having a big circle jerk about, wow, my ideas are so cool, but they don't look at what made the people who really inspired those ideas special. They just look at the ideas on a surface level basis and they just sit there and they constantly talk about it without ever, you know, without ever like trying to reassess themselves or trying to like have. It's what I'm saying makes sense. I feel like I'm really rambling and sounding pretentious.
Oh no,
I
I
hope.
got it. I got it. It's just very surface level, and I understand that some people may have like experiences that would like legitimately cause them to be like that. Other times it just feels forced.
Yeah, yeah, like you know, certain people like they can only do what they know because you know they had parents who were like this. Like I grew up watching a lot of Jon Stewart in my house that from a very young age that was
hmm
always on. A lot of these like very liberal commentators and stuff. And for a while, I was just like that. I just thought everybody who votes for Trump is an idiot. I mean, I don't
Yeah, if you're
think
not
that
as left as me, you're a monster. That kind of
yeah,
thought
exactly.
pattern.
Yeah, like people who think that are just like very unempathetic and problematic and all these other things. But like I used to be exactly like that because that's what I knew. That's what I grew up with. It was only when I started seeing other perspectives that I looked up to, I started reassessing myself and trying to improve. But before I did that, like I could only do what I knew about, and I didn't know about doing things in any other way. And so when people have parents who are like this, or when they have influence in their life that are like this, it makes sense as to why they would end up this way, because that's just what they know. They're just doing what they know, and you can't do something that you don't know how to do. And so I can't blame them a lot of the time. Like, I can't hold a grudge when these people do these things. Obviously, I'm going to say it's wrong because it is wrong, but I can't blame them for it. I mean, obviously, everyone should take responsibility for their actions. That's just what you have to do. But the reasons why they do them aren't always as black and white as people think. And so I think we just need to like take some perspective on these types of things and just sit there and really look at the big picture a lot of the time, and just have compassion for it. Because when people wrong you and when they do something bad, it's easy to get mad at them and to demonize them, but there are more complicated reasons for why things happen, and I think it's better just to look at things through a compassionate lens, while also not excusing their behavior. But I mean, with like what you were mentioning, I didn't mean to go on a big philosophical tangent, but like
Oh, it's no problem.
what you were mentioning of like YMS and stuff like that. Like, I do think the whole cynical, ooh, you know, I'm so edgy attitude has gotten a bit tiring, but people just like it, so he's probably going to keep doing it. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's just something it's been done and done again. You know, it's something that's just gonna, that's what the kids are into nowadays, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Eventually they'll get tired of it, or maybe not. It's whatever.
History repeats itself. It keeps on going. The party never ends. It's always going to be on a downward spiral, baby. Here we go.
Downward spiral, downward. Hold on, I need to play that from Emperor Lemon. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh my god. I love Emperor Lemon so much. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to use the Lord's name in vain around you.
Yeah, he is truly the hero of YouTube that we need, but don't deserve.
Yeah.
Much like we're all sinners who deserve hell, we don't deserve Emperor Lemon.
Yes. That is true. Emperor Lemon is the truest man. He's just so true that truth cannot exist because Emperor Lemon exists, and he's true. That's the point.
Yeah. Oh, what is this? Or what is this stream even about anymore?
Yeah, this is the classic dynamic. This is what we.
Yeah, this is what I've missed so much. Just insanity.
Yeah, like we go into a stream and starts sort of talking about one thing, and then it completely 180s into all these other things, and it just becomes an insane nightmare, but also kind of a dream. I think after a while, with these streams, like we kind of just were doing the same thing so much that it kind of got boring and tired. But like now that we've had a break from it, we've had time to kind of miss the whole atmosphere, and we're excited about it again, you know?
Yeah, we have we got our second wind, as they say.
Yeah, it's all coming back in the downward spiral, baby.
Yep. But yeah, I'll have to start working on those kinds of videos once I, just get the time.
Yeah, that would be good. I'm looking forward to you put out, because I am, still a pretty big channel in general. Like, you've always been someone who I've been entertained by.
Oh, well, I'm really bad with compliments. I just want to you know, it's trying not to sound like a
It's fun.
douchebag. Thank you. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good. No, I'm not the best at taking compliments myself either. I definitely but yeah, no problem, no problem. You do good work, and I think you deserve, like, you know, at least compensation in words for the work that you do, because like even like YouTube creators who are bad, like they put in so much effort into the content that they make, and it's I just I just feel like, you know, they deserve somebody to say something of a word of appreciation for like everybody who does work, but especially the ones who I like, you know. But I don't know. Like like, oh yeah, Corey, for example, like even though like you did like criticize him and his videos like are bad for the reasons that you said, like he puts so much work into them that it's hard not to appreciate him as a person for putting in that work in the first place, you know?
Yeah. And you know, we need to kind of go back to not necessarily just supporting just smaller YouTubers, but just, you know, giving actual criticism that will build them up rather than just break them down.
Yeah, because I mean, people, they all care about, okay, did Oh Yeah Corey say the N word in this video? You know that?
Yeah, exactly. They just focus on this minor thing that they did in their past, and then they just blow it out of proportion.
Yeah, it's like, oh boy, time to make a compilation of all the times Oh Yeah Corey said the word kike, and it's like, okay, dude. You got your drama right here, but is that fixing anything? It's just getting
No.
you views.
Yeah, it's just all about them. They claim to be righteous, but it's not there.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that people have to resort to that just for, you know, views or clicks or whatever. Like, do you hate your job that much that you want to hurt other people and demoralize other people just to have money? Like, that's really sad that our society is in that place that, like, people are so unwilling to work because they hate their job so much that they will actively try to hurt other people just to have money. Like, that's really, really sad.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any answers to how to fix the internet or YouTube, but it's it's gonna have to be a change from within rather than from the outside. It's just
Yeah.
people are gonna need to learn to realize that, you know, what's the cost of having all this entertainment and money and all that. It's fleeting after the end of the day, because
Yeah.
that's what I guess whatever happened to kind of did for me. It kind of made me realize that all of this is so impermanent. Why are we wasting our time trying to, you know, get 1 million subscribers or get this amount of donations on Patreon uh, for nothing, just for like petty nonsense? And there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with, you know, having goals or, you know, trying to make money or trying to be not necessarily famous, but try to have like a name for yourself. It's just that when that becomes your entire life, then, you know, what's the point? What do you have outside of your material gains? And, you know, that's kind of been the issue I've been having, trying to be a Christian and realizing, what's the term I'm looking for? I'll probably have to talk about this more when I make a video about it. It's just like being worldly, I guess is the term that a lot of Christians use. And it's not about like what a lot of people who strawman Christianity, they say, oh, you have to donate all your money and you have to like not listen to this kind of music or not do this. It's not the music or the money itself. It's what place does that have in your heart? You know, if you like that stuff more than you do Christ, then that's the problem. It's not the actual object itself. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally get what. And I think that's definitely like a good worldview to hold. But yeah, it's really interesting, just sort of like these different views on the world, and how people interact with them, just to sort of, go about daily life. But yeah, like I definitely think that people they need to they need to work on themselves in terms of just how do you interact with the world? Like what effects do you put into the world, and like uh, what are you giving back? That's what I always think about. Like, how will my actions affect the world as a whole, or how will they affect the people around me? And so I try to shape my actions into doing the thing that I believe is right. Because I just am introspective and think about, okay, what effect is this going to have on other people? And so I try whenever I can to just make the decision that might not gain me the most, but will ultimately be the right thing in the long run. And I think that's the most gainful thing that you can do. Like, when you help other people and when you make the world a better place, that feeling of satisfaction that you get for being a good person and for doing the right thing is far better than having $1 million that's just blood money. $1 million at the cost of hurting other people.
Mm.
I would much rather, and I like money. Like, everybody likes money, and I'm not trying to say this to sound like a good person. If I were given $1 million, I would take it. But I don't want to have $1 million at the cost of killing someone, or at the cost of making other people's lives worse. And I mean, most people say that just to sound like a good person, but I sincerely mean that. Like, I don't want to hurt other people, and so I ultimately, like, I'd be satisfied just, living in a house, and just, going about life. I don't need all of these great pleasures in the world. Ultimately, it just becomes hedonistic, and we lose sight of what we really should be doing in life, which is being a good moral person, just doing the right thing. Because when you do the right thing, you feel good about yourself, and other people feel good about you too, and the universe as a whole has more positive energy in it, and I think that positive energy manifests itself into something far more meaningful than money that was gained from negative energy.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think of a word that's not so trite, or a statement that's not so trite, but it's, you reap what you sow.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, yeah, it's good. Like, if it means what you're trying to say, then you don't need to, like, not say cliches, or like not say
Yeah,
something
that's
that's like, ooh, this doesn't make me sound smart, or
yeah,
anything like
that's a
that. That's
problem I've
not
been
what
having.
we're here for.
I'm trying
Like,
to
we're
just
we're
clear out that vain praise of man, just trying to be someone that I'm not, to appear interesting to other people. That's what I'm trying to kill.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, you just gotta say what feels right on a lot of things, or what's true to yourself. Or I don't like the saying, oh, just do true to yourself, because then people who say that don't improve themselves and don't try
Mm-mm.
to, like, fix themselves. But
No.
what what I mean when I say that is just, like, trying to, like, say the thing that's honest, and like not lie, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like, I mean, if it means the meaning that you're trying to get across, I don't usually see, like, any problem in just saying something that's cliche. But I don't typically have a problem with cliches in general if, like, the person truly believes them.
Yeah, me neither. It's just people, they want to sound like they're better than everyone else. It's just vanity at the end of the day.
Yeah, like, I try not to do that, because I feel like with a lot of the stuff that I say, it sounds like I'm trying to be better than everybody else when I'm not. Like, it's just that I believe these certain things, and so I try to really hard to, like, understand other people's faiths, and I try really hard to understand their worldviews, and I try to see the good and the bad in those things, and I try to see the good and the bad in myself, and just look at things from a balanced perspective, because if I don't do that, I feel like I would just come off as really vain. And I worry about that a lot of just my worldviews in general or just the way that I want to do things because the way I describe like how I see things, it comes off as very, very vain. It comes off as like, oh, they're just trying to do good. They're just trying to look good. And I don't know. I, I don't want to come off that way because so many people, they just say those things to look like a good person. And I don't want to look like a good person. I want to be a good person.
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
But yeah, I don't know. It's vanity is a big problem with a lot of things. People, they pay too much attention to the exterior image and they don't pay attention to the interior image.
Yeah.
That sounded really pretentious, but whatever.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm not sure if I want to continue. I kind of want to do something else with one of my other friends, but I don't want to just end this right now because it's really good. Maybe we can pick it up some
Yeah,
other time.
yeah. It's all good. This was really fun. It was great catching up with you, and I hope you're doing well. You know, keep living the good life out there, and keep having faith. Because I think it's been really helping you in general. And I love you, man. I hope you're doing.
I love you too.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see you around.
All right, I'll see
Hopefully
you.
we can talk sometime soon. See you.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was the stream, guys. I don't know if anyone's still really watching, but I'll see you guys later.